How much will 100,000 of VeChain's primary native token called VET hypothetically be worth in 2025? In today's video, let's find out. However, even though nothing I say is financial advice. Now, let's say we assume a hypothetical scenario, VET going to the price of $1, which is my price target for it during this bull run. Now, of course, at that point, 100,000 VET would be worth $100,000 because, of course, 100,000 times 1 is 100,000. Now, some people may be thinking, okay, the second question is, why 2025 more specifically? Why not 2027 or something like that? Well, here's the thing. It's because usually, as a worst case scenario, altcoins, historically speaking, have been known to peak around 18 months after a Bitcoin halving event. Now, when did the last Bitcoin halving event happen? Happened back in April of last year. So, of course, 18 months from then would actually mean around October this year. So that's why, I'm more so focusing on 2025. Now, granted, it could happen a little bit later or maybe a little bit sooner because there's no guarantees here. However, I think if anything, it's a good gauge. It's a good benchmark, if anything, I think, to kind of base it off of history, right? And I just don't see why 2025 would even be a bad bull run. Take a look at, for instance, even Charles Hoskinson, who not only is the co founder of Ethereum, but the founder of Cardano, even he predicts that a year to 2 years from November last year, he did say that he could very well see at that time range again, Bitcoin reaching anywhere between $250,000 up to $500,000. So just let that sink in, right? That's best case scenario timeline a year. So again, that's November this year, or should I say year from November last year, which again, of course, is November this year. But even besides that, best case scenario timeline, again, at that point, around that time, Bitcoin reaching anywhere between $250,000 all the way up to $500,000. Even if we assume, Bitcoin going to only $250,000, let's say November this year, even at that point, VET at the price of $1 may not seem that crazy, at least in my opinion. Keep in mind, it's not even that unrealistic anyways, because if VET were to go to the price of $1, considering current circulating supply, market cap would be around $80 billion, which isn't too bad. You got to think about how BNB at one point reached over $100 billion in market cap, and I don't think BNB is as dynamic as this, for instance, because take a look at, for instance, right? We'll see that ever since 2018, the VeChain Tor blockchain allegedly has experienced zero network outages, which is very impressive. But then on the flip side, if you take a look at something like, you know, the BNB Smart Chain ecosystem, according to Crypto.com research, back in 2023, slightly over 2% of the crypto hacks that happened that year actually occurred on there. So when you think about that, that's not acceptable. And again, BNB at one point reached over $100 billion in market cap. VET can't hypothetically go to at least around 80. That's just the way I take a look at it. Now, a dollar is around a 35x from here. So I think hypothetically that's very impressive for me. And not to mention as well, during the peak of the 2021 bull run, when BNB reached those great heights, the amount of crypto owners, again, during the peak of that bull run was roughly around 300 million crypto owners. Now, there's over 600 million according to Crypto.com research. I think this time around things could be a lot more special. And VeChain isn't a bad project, by the way. Take into consideration how VeChain, it's focused on the supply chain management market, which is, I think, something that is very impressive because take into consideration how when it comes to the supply chain management market size, according to Polaris Market Research, by 2030 is expected to be worth over $58 billion. Now, some people may be thinking, okay, you know, you're saying that VET is hypothetically going to reach around an $80 billion market cap, and then yet at the same time, the primary market that VeChain is focused on is only expected to be worth around $58 billion, or should I say over that, right, by 2030, according to Polaris Market Research. So some people may be wondering, okay, how can, VET exceed that, in terms of value, in terms of market cap in 2025, theoretically? Now, my response is this. I get it, right? The market that VeChain is focused on isn't necessarily the biggest of all time. But first of all, I would argue that this could very well just be a conservative estimate. And second of all, in the world of cryptocurrencies, they more so care about how fundamentally amazing it is, the good community. And VET has those boxes ticked. So when I take a look at something like VeChain, yes, it's not focused on the biggest market, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to diminish its growth in any way, in my opinion, because, mass scale adoption for VeChain, we're not going to see it in the next couple of years. Let's face it, it's going to take multiple years to see that happen, right? A very long time in some cases. So it doesn't really matter that the market that it's focused on isn't necessarily the biggest. I think more so people care about the community, again, the fundamentals, the exchange listings, and VET has, again, those boxes ticked. So I think that, again, reaching the price of $1 doesn't seem that ridiculous, even though VeChain isn't necessarily focused on the biggest market of all time. Now, let's face it as well. When it comes to VeChain, it does have a lot of, partnerships that do solidify its stronghold, I would say, in this space in terms of being a very reputable project. That's not, a random nonsense thing that's not going to be around for a long time. Because, for instance, VeChain's partnerships, they do include something like PricewaterhouseCoopers and Deloitte. These are massive because they are, part of the big four accounting firms. So that's amazing, right? We take a look at BMW, we take a look at H&M, Louis Vuitton Moet Hennessy, aka LVMH, and also even the government of Cyprus. So the way to take a look at it is that when it comes to VeChain, it's a very solid project. Partnerships are A plus. The VeChain Tor blockchain is very reliable, and not to mention, it does have a good direction. The market that it's focused on, again, it's not the biggest, but hey, you know what? It's at least heading in a promising direction, in my opinion. And think about why this market could also be kind of undervalued. Because if you think about it, many businesses out there, one way or another, they can find a way to improve, in my opinion, their supply chain management. Why not? At least in most cases. So I think VeChain does have a lot of applications in terms of what it could be used for. Now, of course, another unique selling point that I think VeChain has is the fact that allegedly the VeChain Tor blockchain is very environmentally friendly. And some people may think, okay, who cares about that? Well, here's the thing, it's because nowadays enterprises, they want to go green. A lot of them care about the environment. So they're looking to adopt new technology that typically is very environmentally friendly. And I think that's good. So imagine if, let's say, enterprises, they're evaluating two different projects, right? Let's say one is VeChain, let's say the other one might have, slightly more or pretty much the same fundamentals, but then it's not that environmentally friendly. I think that 9 times out of 10, if that enterprise cares about the environment, they're going to be choosing VeChain because, again, very environmentally friendly. And this is very fantastic. So when I see VET go into the price of a dollar, I really don't see why not. I think this year could be a very special year, and I think that better days are ahead. I get it, the price pullback isn't that, good, of course. But for me, really, I don't view it as necessarily a bad thing, unlike some of my friends, because the way I view it is that the lower the price, the better the buying opportunity. And kind of the prices that we're seeing as of right now is kind of like before VET had that mini pump, I would like to call it, right? So the way I view it is that, hey, if I can accumulate more, why not? I'll continue to dollar cost average anytime an income, acquire, hold, and I just wait because VET at the price of a dollar during this bull run wouldn't surprise me whatsoever. And 100,000 VET, if VET were to reach the price of a dollar, of course, that would hypothetically be worth $100,000. Now, granted, when it comes to VeChain, there is something else called, VTHO. And the first is, of course, the primary native token, which is VET, which is the VeChain token. And the second is called VTHO, again, VeChain Thor Energy, which is quite essentially a gas fee. However, I'm more so focused on VET. And again, a dollar, that's my hypothetical price target for this bull run. And make sure to subscribe if you gain value from this video. I greatly appreciate it. It's Mali the Captain, and I'll catch you all on the next one. I'm out. Peace. Bye.